In this video, I'm going to show you how not only can you monitor through Universal Audio plugins in real time with near zero latency, but also how you can print that processing to your audio as you're recording through your Apollo interface. Hi, my name's Ed from edthorn.com, here to help you make the most out of your home studio, and I hope this video finds you well. Universal Audio Apollo interfaces are well known for their unison preamp technology, which is pretty revolutionary in itself, but that's not the only industry-changing feature the Apollo interfaces have at their disposal. Not only can we record through classic studio preamp emulations, but we can also monitor through a huge library of excellent Universal Audio plugins in real time with sub 2 milliseconds of latency. And on top of that, we can also print these effects, whether it be compression, reverb, or delay, to our audio whilst recording. Now, given how powerful these plugins are, this is impressive. I'm going to show you how to set up these plugins for monitoring and how to print these effects to audio as you record. And later on in the video, I have my friend Izzy Thomas joining us, and she's going to demonstrate recording dry vocals and wet vocals with our monitor effects chain set to record mode. Now, it has to be stressed at this point that you can only achieve the sub 2 milliseconds latency if you are monitoring through Console. For those of you who don't know, Console is Universal Audio's highly functional digital mixer for routing your inputs and headphone mixers. If you're trying to monitor through your DAW's native input monitoring or software monitoring, your audio has to go from your microphone into the Apollo, into your computer, back out to your Apollo, and then back out to your headphones. This long round trip is what introduces latency. The Apollo system is designed to process your inputs and headphone mixers offsite of your computer inside the Apollo before sending the signal back out directly to your headphones. To find out how to effectively set up your monitoring in Console, subscribe and hit the bell notification for the next video in this series, which is going to explain exactly how to do that. This video is part of a multi-part series of videos covering all things Apollo. In the description below, there are links to 2 videos reviewing the new Apollo Solo and exploring Unison preamps in more detail. Right, let's dive into the computer and set up some monitoring plugins. First of all, let's load a preamp into the Unison slot on channel 1 here, because why not? And we've got the Neve 1073. There are presets available for different instruments and monitoring chains, but for vocals, this is my go-to signal chain. The purple 1176NL Rev E to quickly catch the peak transients. The LA2A to boost the lower parts of the signal and give that awesome LA2A sound that this plugin really captures beautifully. The Maag EQ4 to dial in some airy top end and remove any nasally mid frequencies. And Dreamverb for some recording comfort. For example purposes, this is what I use with Izzy, and later on we'll hear how it sounds with and without this processing in place. So once we have our desired monitor chain set up, we have a choice. We can simply monitor through these effects, or we can record these with our audio by pressing UAD record. You'll notice the blue light on the insert strips has now gone red, and these plugins are armed to record. The UAD rec button arms all input channels at the same time, including your ADAT inputs. To arm individual channels, just click on the blue light to the channel you want to arm. Note, this is just to arm the insert plugins for recording your monitoring plugins. You don't need to do anything in Console to arm a channel strip for recording to your DAW. Unfortunately, we can't select individual insert plugins to print. For example, if you wanted to commit the compression but not the reverb, it's either all of them or nothing on the insert chain. But this is where the auxiliary sends come into play, as I'll explain in the next video. Alright, let's listen to Izzy's vocals dry without any processing other than the Neve 1073 preamp emulation in the Unison slot. This is an a cappella performance of Izzy's latest single, Everybody Wants Something, available now on all streaming platforms.
Bailiffs knocking on my door, took the sofa I'm sitting on. How the hell do they sleep at night? Taking more from the ones who try, making ends meet every day. Getting tread every kind of way. Big city's got a heavy hand. Didn't go how you wrote the plan. Everybody wants something. Everybody wants something from me. Everybody wants something. Think I've forgotten how to breathe.
So as you can see, there's a huge dynamic contrast between the two sections there. Now, I wouldn't normally record such a dynamic range on the same input channel with the same gains. However, for demonstration purposes, this shows how effective the compression on the input monitoring can be, as you can see from the WAV files with the wet example. Now let's have a listen to Izzy performing with the insert monitoring chain set to record mode. This printed the effects to the audio as we recorded.
Bailiffs knocking on my door, took the sofa I'm sitting on. How the hell do they sleep at night? Taking more from the ones who try, making ends meet every day, getting tread every kind of way. Big city's got a heavy hand, didn't go how you wrote the plan. Everybody wants something, everybody wants something from me, everybody wants something. Think I've forgotten how to breathe.
These were quite extreme levels of compression, EQ and reverb for demonstration purposes. Personally, I wouldn't commit the EQ or reverb to the audio because those elements are very mix dependent. Committing compression to the audio, though, can sound great and also speed up the mix process if you don't have to do it later. No doubt some of you will have questions regarding DSP management, especially if you own or are considering purchasing an Apollo Solo, which only has one DSP core. Stay tuned for a video later in this series where I'll be going into DSP management in a lot more detail. But let's cover some quick fix issues now to help you with monitoring and recording. Firstly, assuming you don't own a satellite DSP accelerator core like this one, I suggest turning off all your UAD plugins in your recording and mix session whilst tracking. This will free up DSP for your unison and monitor insert slots. Conversely, when mixing, turn off all the plugins in console. Your Apollo device will recognize all of your active plugins across your DAW and console. It's important to know that simply closing the console app is not sufficient to free up DSP. If your Apollo is connected, it will remember your previous console settings and your plugins will remain active if you left them turned on. So you need to turn these plugins off before closing console to free up any DSP. This does not, however, apply to your DAW. If you close your DAW, the plugins will not remain active. The other quick way of managing your monitoring DSP is to use legacy versions of the plugins. The legacy plugins are much like diet versions, they use a lot less DSP. Although they operate in a similar fashion, they don't have the Apollo integration features the full versions have, hence they're not available as unison plugins due to the processing power to reconfigure and control the preamps. So you may need to reconsider your choice of unison plugin if you have a solo and you're planning on using monitoring inserts. For example, the Manley Vox Box is a great plugin, but it uses a whopping 46% of any one single DSP core, compared to the Universal Audio native UA610A preamp, which uses half that at 23%. Now in this example, the Manley Vox Box has built-in EQ and compression, so if you like the sound of these processors, you can save on other plugins in your chain. In the description below is a link to a chart listing all the DSP usage percentages of all the Universal Audio plugins. It's well worth a look at, and like I said, in a subsequent video I'll be going into DSP management in a lot more detail because there's a lot of tricks you can do to maximize your DSP. Let me know in the comments below what monitoring chains you use and whether or not you commit any of that to audio as you record. A big thank you to Izzy Thomas for helping us demonstrate this in action. Be sure to check her out online and the full version of that song. All of her social links are in the description below. Thank you for watching, be kind to one another, and I'll see you on the next one explaining how to set up the monitoring.